Surrender now, and I might let you live.
Today will be your last.
Take that!
Now this is fighting. Run while you still can, child.
You're not even trying.
You're hardly a match for me. You won't escape me that easily. Wah! Wah! Wah!
Soon you'll be reduced to dust.
You will die where you stand. Arr. Arg. I will bathe in your blood. Fool. Arr. Ah.
No one can match me. Ow! Aye! Oh! Ow!
await you. Aha!
Care to trade?
Oh, my sweet love, she waits for me through storm and shine, cross land or sea. I run to her and to bear her way. Sway as we kiss, sway as we kiss. Her graceful shape I heave up high, and in one hand I hold her nigh. Her waiting lips are never dry. Sway as we kiss, sway as we kiss.
Amatwa was yours.
Come the morn she goes, the taste of her remains, and in my mind I see us sway. Sway as we kiss, sway as we kiss. We till Skyrim's ground, despite frozen toil, pretend.
If you would be wise, model your lives on the lives of the saints. If you would learn valor, follow Saint Nerevar the Captain, patron of warriors and statesmen. Lord Nerevar helped to unite the barbarian Dwemer tribes into a great nation, culminating in his martyrdom when leading the Dwemer to victory against the evil Dwemer and the traitorous House Dagoth in the Battle of Red Mountain. If you would learn daring, follow St. Veloth the Pilgrim, patron of outcasts and spiritual seekers. St. Veloth, prophet and mystic, led the Dwemer out of the decadent home country of the Somerset Isles and into the promised land of Morrowind. St. Veloth also taught the difference between the good and bad Daedra, and won the aid of the good Daedra for his people while teaching how to carefully negotiate with the bad Daedra. If you would learn generosity, follow St. Rilms the Barefooted, patron of pilgrims and beggars. St. Rilms gave away her shoes, then dressed and appeared as a beggar to better acquaint herself with the poor. If you would learn self-respect and respect for others, follow St. Aralor the Penitent, patron of tanners and miners. This foul criminal repented his sins and travelled a circuit of the great pilgrimages on his knees. If you would learn mercy and its fruits, follow St. Serin the Merciful, patron of brewers, bakers, distillers. This pure virgin of modest aspect could heal all diseases at the price of taking the disease upon herself. Tough-minded and fearless, she took on the burdens of others and bore those burdens to an honoured old age. If you would learn fierce justice, follow St. Felms the Bold, patron of butchers and fishmongers. This brave warlord slew the Nord invaders and drove them from our lands. He could neither read nor write, receiving inspiration directly from the lips of Almsivi. If you would learn pride of race and tribe, follow St. Roris the Martyr, patron of furnishers and caravanners. Captured by Argonians just before the Arnesian War, Roris proudly refused to renounce the tribunal faith and withstood the cruel tortures of Argonian sorcerers. Vengeance and justice for the martyred St. Roris was the rallying cry of the Arnesian War. If you would learn the rule of law and justice, follow St. Olms the Just, patron of chandlers and clerks. Founder of the Ordinators, St. Olms conceived and articulated the fundamental principles of testing, ordeal, and repentance. If you would learn benevolence, follow St. Delin the Wise, patron of potters and glassmakers. St. Delin was head of House Indoril, a skilled lawyer and author of many learned treatises on tribunal law and custom. If you would learn the love of peace, follow St. Maris the Peacemaker, patron of farmers and labourers. As a little girl, St. Maris showed healing gifts and trained as a healer. She ended a long and bloody house war, intervening on the battlefield in her white robe to heal warriors and spellcrafters without regard to faction. The troops of all houses adopted white robes as her standard and refused to shed the blood of their brethren. If you would learn reverence, follow Saint Lothis the Pious, patron of tailors and dyers, contemporary and companion of the tribunal, and the best-loved Alma ruler of the tribunal temple. He formulated the central rituals and principles of the new temple faith. Saint Lothis is the symbolic mortal bridge between the gods and the faithful and the archetypal priest.
I don't know you. What do you want? Go ahead, I am listening.
I will enjoy this.
Please, Sir Yo, have mercy. Let us go free. Dare I hope? Are you here to rescue us?
So much talk. Over there.
You will die here. Help! Help! You must be joking.
Do you have the key to these bracers? Will you let me go free? Do you have the key to these bracers? Will you let me go free?
Speak now or leave now. Get away from me, slaver. Get away from me, slaver.
Ah, at long last, freedom.
Don't stand about.
What, can I help you? You're wasting your time. I won't be bullied. A good thrashing is what you need. What is that tiresome noise? Briaring is a barbarian at the Skyrim mission in Ebonheart. He's remarkably educated and well-spoken for a barbarian, but he knows the things a barbarian should know.
It seems to me, said Garaz, thoughtfully looking into the depths of his flin, that all great ideas come from pure happenstance. Take, for instance, the story I told you last night about my cousin. If he hadn't fallen off that horse, he never would have become one of the Empire's foremost alchemists. It was late one Midas night at the King's Ham, and the regulars were always especially inclined toward philosophy. I disagree, replied Shiomara, firmly but politely. Great ideas and inventions are most often formed slowly over time by diligence and hard work. If you'll recall my tale from last month, the young lady, who I assure you is based on a real person, only recognized her one true love after she had slept with practically everyone in North Point. I put it to you that neither is the case, said Holgerd, pouring a topper on his mug of grief. The greatest inventions are created by extraordinary need. Must I remind you of the story I told some time ago about Arslik Oan and the invention of bone mold? The problem with your theory is that your example is entirely fictional, sniffed Shiomara. I don't believe I remember the story of Arslik Oan and the invention of bone mold, frowned Garaz. Are you sure you told us? Well, this happened many, many, many years ago, when Vvardenfell was a beauteous green land, when Dunmer were Chimer and Dwemer and Nord lived together in relative peace when they weren't trying to kill one another. Holgerd relaxed in his chair, warming to his theme, when the sun and moons all hung in the sky together. Lord, Mother, and Wizard, grumbled Shiomara. If I'm going to be forced to hear your ridiculous story again, pray don't embellish and make it any longer than it has to be. This all happened in Vvardenfell quite some time ago, said Holgerd, ignoring Shiomara's interruption with admirable restraint, during an era of a king you would never have heard of. Arslik Oan was one of this king's nobles, and very, very disagreeable fellow. Because of his allegiance to the crown, the king had felt the need to grant him a castle and land, but he didn't necessarily want him as a neighbor, so the land he granted was far from civilization. Right in an area of Vvardenfell that is, even today, not quite civilized to this day. Arslik Oan built a walled stronghold and settled down with his unhappy slaves to enjoy a quiet, if somewhat grim, life. It was not long before his stronghold's integrity was tested. A tribe of cannibalistic Nords had been living in the valley for some time, mostly dining on one another, but occasionally foraging what they liked to call dark meat, the Dwemer. Shiomara laughed with appreciation. Marvelous. I don't remember that from before. It's funny how you don't hear much about the Nords' rampant cannibalism nowadays. This was obviously, as I've said, quite some time ago, said Hallgerd, glaring at part of his audience with civil malevolence, and things were in many ways quite different. These cannibalistic Nords began attacking Arslik Oan's slaves in the fields, and then slowly grew bolder until they held the very stronghold itself under siege.
Anytime.
They were quite a fearsome sight, you can imagine. A horde of wild-eyed men and women with dagger-like teeth, filed to tear flesh, wielding massive clubs, cloaked only in the skins of their victims. Arslik Oan assumed that if he ignored them, they'd go away. Unfortunately, the first thing that the Nords did was to poison the stream that carried water into the walled stronghold. All the livestock and most of the slaves died very quickly before this was discovered. There was no hope of rescue, at least for several months, when the king's emissaries would come reluctantly to visit the disagreeable vassal. The next closest source of water was on the other side of the hill, so Arslik Oan sent 3 of his slaves with empty jugs to bring some back. They were beaten with clubs and eaten before they were a few feet outside the stronghold gates. The next group he sent through, he gave sticks to defend themselves. They made it a few feet farther, but were also overwhelmed, beaten, and devoured. It was obvious that better personal defensive was required. Arslik Oan went to talk to his armourer, one of his few slaves with specific talents and duties. The slaves need armour if they're going to make it to the river and back, he said. Collect every scrap of steel and iron you can find, every hinge, knife, ring, cup, everything that isn't needed to keep the walls sturdy, smelt it, and give me the most and the best armour you can, very, very quickly. The armourer, whose name was Gorkith, was used to Arslik Oan's demands, and knew that there could be no compromise on the quality and quantity of the armour or the speed at which he worked. He laboured for 30 hours without a break, and recall, without any water to slake his thirst as he struggled with the kiln and anvil, until finally he had 6 suits of mixed metal armour. 6 slaves were chosen, clad in the armour, and sent with jars to collect river water. At first, the mission progressed well. The Nord attacked the armoured slaves with their clubs, but they continued their march forward, warding off the blows. Gradually, however, the slaves seemed to be walking uncertainly, dazed by the endless barrage. Eventually, one by one they fell, the armour was peeled from their bodies, and they were eaten. The slaves couldn't move quickly enough in that heavy armour you made, said Arslik Oan to Gorkith. I need you to collect all the cadavers of the poisoned livestock, strip their skin, and give me the most and the best leather armour you can, very, very quickly. Gorkith did as he was told, though it was a particularly repulsive task given the rancid state of the livestock. Normally it takes quite a time to treat and cure leather, so I understand, but Gorkith worked at it tirelessly, and in a half a day he had 12 suits of leather armour. 12 slaves were chosen, clad in the armour, and sent with jars to collect river water. They progressed at first much better than the earlier expedition. 2 fell almost immediately, but the others had some luck outmanoeuvring their assailants while deflecting an occasional blow of the club. Several got to the river, 3 were able to fill up their jars, and one fellow very nearly made it back to the stronghold gates. Alas, he fell and was eaten. The Nords possessed a remarkably healthy appetite. What we need before I completely run out of slaves, said Arslik Oan thoughtfully to Gorkith, is an armour sturdier than leather, but lighter than metal. The armourer had already considered that and taken stock of the materials available. He had thought about doing something with stone or wood, but there were practical problems with demolishing more of the stronghold. The next most prevalent stuff present in the stronghold was skinned dead bodies, hunks of muscle, fat, blood, and bone. For 6 hours he toiled relentlessly until he produced 18 suits of bone mould, the first ones ever created. Arslik Owen was somewhat dubious at the sight and smell, but he was very thirsty and willing to sacrifice another 18 slaves if necessary. "Might I suggest," Gorklith queried tremulously, "having the slaves practice moving about in the armor here in the courtyard before sending them to face the Nords?" Arslik Owen coolly allowed it, and for a few hours the slaves wandered about the stronghold courtyard in their suits of bone mould. They grew used to the give of the joints, the rigidity of the backplate, the weight pushed onto their shoulders and hips. They discovered how to plant their feet slightly askew to keep their balance steady, how to quickly turn, pivoting without falling down, how to break into a run and stop quickly. By the time they were sent out of the castle gates, they were easily, very nearly, almost amateurs in the use of their medium-weight armor. 17 of them were killed and eaten, but one made it back with a jar of water. "It's perfect nonsense," said Shiamaya, "but my point is still valid even so. Like all great inventors, even in fiction, the armorer worked diligently to create the bone mould." "I think there was a good deal of happenstance as well," frowned Garras. "But it is an appalling story. I wish you hadn't told me." "If you think that's appalling," grinned Hulgerd, "you should hear what happened next."
What, Outlander? Why do you disturb?
Speak, traveler.
I know the little fetcher's got a hiding place somewhere in town. Just not sure.
Oh, we rent beds. I have some goods for barter. What do you want?
He is a hard man.
Can I help you out? Do you
Let's
need
hear
something?
Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood of fire out on Sirit fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magic fused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then
We rent beds. I have some goods for barter. What do you want?
To Chimela the ball. Red diamond.
I know the little fetcher's got a hiding place somewhere in town. Just not sure where yet.
Red diamond, protect us till the end.
Greetings. I offer the best values in town.
Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of man. Red diamond, protect us till the end. In darkness your light shines through. Warrior goddess, for you we strike through. When hope is lost and war rages on, warrior goddess, hear our blessed song. With the Norns death fallen in battle, warrior goddess, guide us through shadow. Grant us courage to fight and sharpen our swords, warrior goddess.
I'm waiting.
Identify yourself. I haven't seen your face before. Would you like a little advice? Or are you looking for someone in particular?
I paid him good money. My sword better be sharp as a scamp's cloth.
No, I don't think so.
Sarah.
Hiding place? I don't know what you're talking about. Leave me alone.
Yes? What? Not happy here? In fact, no, I'm not. If I had 100 drakes, I'd be on the next boat to Narcissus. I came here to make my fortune, and all I've got is this cursed ring. Say, would you give me 100 drakes for it? The ring itself is worth more than that, but the enchantment is cursed and no one will buy it from me. It has a nifty little enchantment that helps you run faster. Problem is, it sucks the blood right out of you every time you use it. Please? You'll be doing me a real favor. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. I'll head straight to Vivek and grab the next boat.
Where would you like to go?
Why walk when you can ride?
The captain's in a foul.
Why do you interrupt me, Cyrodiil?
I hope this won't take long.
So, have you done that little favor I asked? Perfect. Just what I was looking for. Just let me take this Dwemer Puzzle Box, and then I'll tell you what Caius will want to know about the 6th house and about the Nerevarine. By the way, The inscriptions on the box seem to be the directions for setting a Dwemer key to open a specific lock. If you're interested after you've delivered your report to Caius, come back and maybe I'll have a key you can take back to Arkenthand. House Dagoth was the 6th of the 7 Dunmer great houses. Nothing remains of the 6th house. Its members were all slain or adopted into other great houses following their treason in the War of the First Council. Their clanstead was called Kogarun. Yes, the inscriptions on the box seem to be the directions for setting a Dwemer key to open a specific lock. If you're interested, after you've delivered your report to Caius, come back, and maybe I'll have a key you can take back to Arkenthand. I gave you the notes. Give them to Caius. The Ashlanders believe a reborn Nerevar will unite the Dunmer against the Outlander invaders and restore the ancient Dark Elven nation. Nerevar is a legendary hero and saint of the Temple, but the Temple denies the prophecy and persecutes heretics who believe in the Nerevarine. Tell Caius that Sharn gra-Muzgob would be a better person to ask about the native faiths and superstitions. Dagoth was the leader of the extinct 6th house, House Dagoth, the traitor house destroyed in the War of the First Council. Dagoth is the evil immortal enemy of the Tribunal Temple cult. The Temple blames Dagoth and his hosts for all the evils that beset the Dunmer and Morrowind. Dagoth dwells in fiery caverns beneath Red Mountain, served by his kin and legions of monsters. Caius says he's fed up with heroes. The Empire keeps sending them out here to the provinces to civilize things. The fools don't seem to realize that their destinies are being created by historical processes, and they're too ignorant and impatient to understand it. So Caius sends you to me, hoping you'll be different. Poor Caius. So many disappointments. So maybe you'll read On Morrowind, the Imperial Province, and learn something about current events. That's what I recommend. The great houses hate each other. Theft, murder, assassination, secret raids, standard stuff. The Temple is trying... Hello again. What do you want? You already gave me the Dwemer Puzzle Box, don't you remember?
Yes, friend.
One. Purpose. The Guild of Fighters provides employment to free swords and mercenaries and contracts to local citizens. Citizens may contract with the Guild for the removal of creatures and pests, the delivery of goods on dangerous routes, the collection of beasts for the arenas, and other duties defined by the Guild stewards. 2. Authority. The Guild of Fighters was established under the Section 4 of the Guilds Act, and this charter was first confirmed under the potentate Versidue Shea in the 321st year of the Second Era. 3. Rules and procedures. Any member of the Guild of Fighters who strikes or...
You have the notes from Hasphat Antabolis? Are you here to discuss your orders, or is there something else you want? These notes are from Hasphat Antabolis? Excellent. I trust he didn't work you too hard for them. I'll look them over in more detail later, but now I have some new orders for you. I've glanced at Hasphat Antabolis' notes. They cover the 6th house admirably, but not the Nerevarine cult. Hop on over to the Balmora Mages Guild. It's right next to the Balmora Fighters Guild. Get Sharn gra-Muzgob to tell you what she knows about the Nerevarine. She'll have some silly errand for you. Do what she asks. and report back when she's given you the information.
I'm sure this is important, but I really must go.
No, no interruptions. How many times? Oh, you are one of Caius's associates. That is a different matter. Caius and I have a very satisfactory arrangement, and I'm sure we can come to some sort of agreement if you will complete a little errand for me. He was no one special, a journeyman enchanter. There may be many skulls in Andrano Tomb, but you'll have no problem recognizing Levoul's skull from the ritual markings. In the Empire, necromancy is a legitimate discipline, though body and spirit are protected property and may not be used without permission of the owner. But in Morrowind, the Dwemer loathe necromancers and put them to death. That's absurd, of course, since the Dwemer summon their own dead to guard tombs and defend the family. Sacred necromancy is righteous, while philosophical necromancy is evil. It's primitive superstition, that's all. No, of course not. I can't teach you spells. I'm not a necromancer. No, absolutely not. Not a necromancer.
Is it necessary that you speak with... Why walk when I can guide?
Why walk when I can guide?
Ask a commoner.
Be quick about this, or find someone
I
else
haven't much
to talk
time,
to.
so...
I'm listening, please. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I wonder if she heard me say that.
This is Caldera. Did you want to ask me something? We Altmer are proud, wise, and beautiful. The Empire is built on the arts, crafts, and sciences of the High Elves. Our pure blood protects us from disease and makes us Things are okay here in Caldera. Are you looking for someone in particular?
On your way.
We make a special trip just for you. Pay low price.
Sothersil and the Scribs. Young Sothersil, while playing in the egg mines, saw a number of Scribs in a deep shaft, and he began to cast stones upon them, snickering as they skittered and scattered, until one of the Scribs, lifting its head up in agony, cried out to Sothersil, "Please, please have mercy, little boy, for what is sport to you is suffering and death to us." And so Sothersil discovered that the idle of amusements of one may be the solemn tortures of another. Lord Vivek and the contentious beasts. A shulk and a Kaguti were strutting back and forth in a foyada, casting aspersions of one another's looks. "You are the ugliest creature alive," the Shulk told the Kaguti. "No, you are the ugliest creature alive," the Kaguti told the Shulk, for each thought himself most handsome, and the other most ugly. Then Lord Vivek chanced by and settled their dispute. "No, you both are the ugliest creatures alive, and I will not have my pleasant sojourn spoiled by your unseemly squabbling." So he dealt them both mighty blows, shattering their skulls and silencing their argument, and went merrily upon his way. And thus Lord Vivek proved that ugliness is as much in one's manner as in one's appearance. The boiled Kaguti. It is said that if a Kaguti steps into a boiling pool, he will leap out immediately to avoid harm. But if the Kaguti is standing in a pool, and a wizard slowly raises the temperature, measure by measure, to boiling, the Kaguti will calmly stand in place until he is boiled. Thus, we see that we must be alert not only to the obvious danger, but also to the subtle degrees by which change may result in danger. The dubious healer. Once upon a time, a Telvanni issued forth from his tower and proclaimed to all the world that he was a mighty and learned healer, master of all alchemy and potions, and able to cure all diseases. Lord Vivek looked upon this wizard and listened to his boasting, then asked him, "How can you pretend to prescribe for others the cure to all diseases, when you are unable to cure yourself of your own manifest arrogance and foolishness? The gua and the mud crabs." The gua were so tormented by the other creatures they did not know where to go. As soon as they saw a single beast approach them, off they dashed in terror. One day they saw a pack of nixhounds ranging about, and in a desperate panic all the gua scuttled off towards the sea, determined to drown themselves rather than live in such a continual state of fear. But just as they got near the shoreline, a colony of mud crabs, frightened in their turn by the approach of the gua, scuttled off and threw themselves into the water. "Truly," said one of the gua, "things are not so bad as they seem, for there is always someone worse off than you." The wounded netch. A wounded netch lay himself down in a quiet corner of its feeding ground. His healthy companions came in great numbers to inquire after his health, yet each one helped himself to a share of the fodder which had been placed there for his use, so that the poor netch died, not from his wounds, but from the greed and carelessness of his erstwhile friends. And so it is clear that thoughtless companions may bring more harm than help.
Keep moving.
A fine Ancestors' Day to you, Outlander.